Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sanctuary on this last Sunday in November. I'm Mike Robertson. Thank you for being here, for coming to show your support, for being part of the Sanctuary community. It means a lot to me. Let me announce first to you that we will be back to our weekly Zoom chats this week. You'll get an email on Tuesday or Wednesday with the link, but we took one Wednesday off this week for Thanksgiving Eve, but we'll be back at it this week. So I look forward to seeing your faces again and hearing your voices also as we get together each week and have a wonderful time of fellowship and community together. Excuse me. In the sanctuary, the work is still going on in the bathroom. It's still very dusty in here. That may have something to do with my voice. I can kind of feel the dust in my teeth, So, but we will persevere. They are progressing, and I'm hoping it'll be soon. I'm hoping that before the end of the year, those bathrooms are finished and ready for use, and that we will have a good reason to be happy that they're there and come back and enjoy being together again. But that reminds me, I want to share with you a little bit, a second message this morning at no additional charge. But I feel like I need to tell you this. Be patient. I know we're all tired of this situation. We're all tired of it. I had a couple of interactions this week at a grocery or at other place with people who were just obviously on edge. And one little thing just could trip them off and send them into orbit. And I came away from that experience at the grocery store with this guy, and I knew that I was going to go home thinking that guy was such a jerk, but I knew he was going to go home and tell his family there was this jerk at the store. Even though I barely spoke at all to him, he was ready to go off. I was a convenient trigger. I know that a lot of us feel that way. We're ready to get back to life, but we can't do that yet. And there are reasons for it. I know that there are other churches meeting. I don't think it's wise. The numbers continue to go up, continue to rise, and there continue to be some experts who say, oh, it's really just getting started. We haven't peaked yet. My sister lives in Pflugerville. Her church began meeting in a safe manner a couple of months ago. And then one of their pastors caught the virus. And so now they've had to step back and take a look at their procedures and their policies and say, what are we supposed to be doing right now? What's right for us? I would much rather you be sitting here with me in this room. I would much rather be able to see your face and hear your voice and give you a handshake and give you a hug. But I can't do that right now. I don't think it's safe to do that right now. And so right now, having church to me feels like it's the same reason why I don't want to go to Disney World right now. When I go to Disney World, I don't want to wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart from everybody and be paranoid if I have to take my mask off to eat or drink something. It changes the whole experience. And our community is not the same if we have to be masked up and 6 feet apart and no contact, no donuts, no coffee, no singing. That is not the experience I want to resume having. And here's one thing that I haven't shared with you, and you may not know or have thought about this. Within the past 11 months, 4 of our oldest church members have died. Now, 4 may not sound like a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but at the sanctuary, 4 people is almost 10% of our total congregation. Now, whether they were COVID-related causes or not, and some of them I do not know if it was a factor or not, but whether they were COVID-related or not, we have an at-risk congregation. Our congregation is older than normal. And so your safety is hugely important to me. My safety is hugely important to me. And I can't think of anything worse than saying, okay, we're going to come back together and have church. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, some of you come down with the virus, or I come down with the virus. How sad that would be. So I'm just asking you to be patient. Nobody's happy about the way things are. But for the moment, the way we're doing church right now, is pretty much 100% safe. I'm pretty sure you're not going to catch the virus from being here this morning watching on YouTube. So please be patient. It will pass. It will pass, and we will be able to get back to being together as normal. But in the meantime, let me tell you about something that's coming up. 3 weeks from today, we're going to do this thing live outside in our parking lot. It's going to be socially distanced. It's going to be safe. We're not going to touch anybody. We're not going to shake any hands, but we're going to be doing this drive-by Santa experience on 2 nights, Sunday the 20th and Monday the 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. This is attracting a lot of attention. A lot of people are getting excited about it because it's a way to take the kids to see Santa without them having to sit on his lap or wait in a long line at the mall. They can stay in their car. They can get out for a picture if they want, but they'll still be distanced. There'll still be stuff between Santa and their kids, and they can take a picture right from the driver's seat. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great gift from our church to the community, but it's gonna take a lot of help. We're gonna need people to set this up on Sunday afternoon, and then we got to take it down Sunday night and then put it back up Monday afternoon. It's going to take a lot of us to do that. We're going to need people before, during, and after the event. So if you can help, please let us know. You should have received an email last week that had the contact info for Lisa Robertson and Brandy Valentine, who are 2 of those who are in charge of this event. If you can't find that email, you can just send an email to me. Here's my email address. It's easy. Mike Robertson at sanctuaryaustin.com. Send me an email and say, yes, I want to be involved. Tell me what you need help with. And I will pass your email on to Brandy and Lisa, and they can find a place to get you plugged in. This is going to be a cool experience. I'm really looking forward to it. It's only 3 weeks away. Can you help us? I hope that you will. All right. Let's get down to the main message, shall we? If I stand right here, it says it's going to be a mess, which it may well be, but maybe it'll be a message. As somebody who loves music and comedy and theater, I love to go see a live performance. That's one of the things I miss most right now. I had some concert tickets for things that were supposed to occur in the summer or then were rescheduled for the fall, and now they've just been plain canceled. I love to go see a performance, but you know what I don't like? I don't like sitting in the back row, or I don't like sitting way at the top of a large arena. I want to be up front. I want to be close to where I can see the people who are performing, the musicians, the actors, the comedians. Now, when I was in my 20s, getting good seats required some effort. In those pre-internet days, you had to know somebody or you had to listen to the radio constantly to hear when tickets would go on sale for this concert. And then you would call up your best buddies and 2 or 3 or 4 of you would go down to the concert venue and you would take your lawn chairs and your sleeping bags and snacks and ice chest and you would literally camp out at the arena, stay there all night long, excited because you were going to be toward the first of the line. You were bound to get great seats. There were only 8 people ahead of you. It was going to be great. And then at 8 a.m., they would open a box office and you would buy your tickets and you would look and say, wait, I'm on row 17. What happened? How did that happen? I don't know. Radio stations, mafia, bribes. I don't know what happened. But I didn't always get great seats, but I always got good seats when I put the effort in. Later, though, the wristband became popular. Remember that? Again, you would hear an announcement on the radio, and you would leave your job or your house, and you would drive to the venue, and they would fasten a plastic wristband on your arm. It had a number on it. The next morning, you had to come back and line up in order of your numbers. And if you were quick, and if you were lucky, you would get seats within the first few rows. Well, nowadays, it's become much easier than that. You can go online, you can pick out your seats from a little diagram, click on them, pay for them, print them out at home, it's easy to get front row seats. Oh, it's expensive, but it's pretty simple to do. And you can get all kinds of perks now. You can get admission to the sound check. You can get a backstage pass. You can get a meet and greet with the artist, but it's expensive. But the best seats may just be worth it. Front row center for some legendary musician or actor. That sounds like a pretty good thing to me. I've done it many times. Front seats are great, except here, except in church. With the possible exception of Easter and Christmas Eve, it's always easy to get a good seat in church. But there kind of seems to be a discrepancy about what constitutes a good seat in church. If you had the ability, if we were having church every Sunday here like we did a year ago, if you could go online and pick your seat and reserve it, which seats would be the first to go? Which seats would be snatched up first? You ever been to SeaWorld? If you go to see the Shamu show, you will be repeatedly advised that the first 4 rows are something called the splash zone. And I wonder sometimes if churches have a splash zone. Maybe people think, well, there's going to be religion stuff happening on the stage. I don't want to get any on me. And so they want to sit further back. There's never a crowd for the front row in church. Or maybe it's like a movie where if you sit on the front row, you might get a headache and hurt your neck. But church, we tend to want to sit in the cheap seats. Church in the cheap seats is what I want to talk about today. See, it seems like Jesus didn't have that problem. Everybody wanted to get close to Jesus. Sometimes they would get so close that even Jesus got a little bit claustrophobic. More than once, he delivered a sermon from basically the middle of the baptistry. He got in a boat and rowed it out into the lake because the crowd was pressing so hard around him. Everybody wanted to be close to Jesus. One woman with a severe problem, she could just barely get close enough to crawl on the ground and reach out and just touch the hem of his robe. Zacchaeus, the tax collector, had to climb up a tree just to get a glimpse of him. He couldn't even get close at all, but he could get up high enough where he could at least see Jesus when he passed by. People wanted to be close to Jesus. They wanted front row seats because close to Jesus is a pretty amazing place to be. Even little children who had no voice or power in the society of that day, they wanted to be close to him, and he reserved a special place for them. Nobody wanted to be in the cheap seats when Jesus was up front. So why is it so different today? Well, there are a couple of answers to that question, and they both make me very uncomfortable. One of them, could it be that a lot of people are just not ready to jump in completely? They want to maintain their distance. They want to just wade in the living water, just dip their toe in. I don't want to get in too far. One of my favorite people ever is Groucho Marx. Groucho Marx applied one time to be part of a country club in Beverly Hills because he wanted to be able to use their swimming pool. He got a letter from the admissions committee and they said, "We regret to inform you we cannot accept your application because you are Jewish and we do not allow Jews in our club." And Groucho wrote back and said, "My daughter's only half Jewish. Can she go into the pool up to her waist?" I wonder sometimes if that is how people think about church. I don't want to get too far in. I'm just going to wade in a little bit. You know, Jesus didn't have great things to say about people who tried to have it both ways, both in the water and out of the water. I know that some of you, many of us, are not lacking in commitment. It's just a matter of convenience. You want to be able to get out quickly. So I'm going to sit toward the back so I can slip out. I got to go to work. Or I got to go to the grocery store. I got to do this. I'm expecting a phone call. I'm going to sit at the back where I can get out quickly. or you have a crying baby, or you have a cast on your foot, or you're not sure if you remembered to put on deodorant or not this morning. Whatever the reason is, there is something missed when we keep people or when we keep God at a distance. This is one of the reasons I don't want to come back together yet. I don't want to be here if I have to keep you at a distance. This should be a place of fellowship, of encouragement, and forming new friendships and feeling part of a family. And oftentimes the church looks like the most dysfunctional family that could ever be imagined. We are barely able sometimes to muster up a nod or a hello. And when we are called to do so much more than that. Did you know that there are 5 different scriptures from 5 different books in the New Testament that say when you come to church, you should greet one another with a holy kiss? Boy, good luck with that. How do you think that would go over if I said, okay, we're coming back together. We're going to start meeting next Sunday, but when you come in, you got to kiss everybody. Be a hard sell, wouldn't it? Times have changed since the early church days. But community is not just being in the same building. There's more to it than that. And the second answer to that question about why things are the way they are now, why do people want their religion from the cheap seats? The second answer makes me even more uncomfortable. What if people don't sit close because they don't think Jesus is going to show up? See, that's the thought that gives me great pause. People were drawn to Jesus. And if people are not drawn to me, I have to ask if my resemblance to Jesus is not what it's supposed to be. Because I believe even the cynical, jaded humans of 2020 would be drawn to somebody who truly exhibited love and forgiveness and acceptance and compassion. I don't think those qualities have gone out of style. I think people would still be attracted to that. Consider at a football game, where's the best seat? What's the best seat? Is it on the 50-yard line? Is it down low, close to the field, or is it up high so you can see the whole field at once? There's all kinds of conflicting opinions. You can tell because just about every seat is filled, so somebody thinks every seat is worthwhile. A few years ago, I was a part of a large church, and we had a big choir. I mean, a big choir. The choir often had 130, 140, 150 people in it. And the director of this choir had what everybody would say was a crazy idea. He thought, we got this great choir, this big choir. Wouldn't it be great if we could perform at a Dallas Cowboys halftime show? Crazy, right? Crazy. But he didn't stop there. He thought, and what would make it even better would be if our choir did a halftime show accompanied by the University of Texas Longhorn Band. Well, that's crazy. Well, my friends, it happened. I was there. We rehearsed our parts at home for weeks. We got together with the Longhorn Band a couple of times and marched on a field to find out how things were going to work. And then early one morning, we loaded up in buses and we traveled to Arlington. We had lunch in the stadium. They served us down in the deep tunnels of the stadium. We got to rehearse on the field. And then they gave us all seats to the game. And the spectacle began. I'd never been to a professional football game before that. It was amazing. You could feel the energy and the sights and the sounds and fireworks. And it was so exciting. But I tell you, folks, I discovered that day where the best spot in the stadium was. It's on the field. It's in the action. To stand on that artificial turf and look up at tens of thousands of people and to sing with that huge choir and that huge marching band, that was the best spot in the house. Nothing else could even compare. It was an amazing experience. There's a story in the book of Matthew, chapter 20, I want to share with you. I love this story because it's so human. It's so true to life. The story says, then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons, and kneeling down, she asked a favor of him. What is it you want? He asked. She said, grant that one of these, my sons, one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in the kingdom. Just like a mom looking out for her boys. Would you let one of them be your right-hand guy and the other one be your left-hand guy? And Jesus said to her, you don't know what you're asking. Jesus turns to the two men and says, can you drink the cup I'm going to drink? And they said, well, yeah, we can. And he said to them, oh, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. See, these disciples, some of the closest friends Jesus had, said, we can go where you're going. We can do what you're going to do. And he knew they couldn't even imagine what was coming up for him. Sure enough, they would go through a painful death. They would be martyred because of their allegiance and following of Jesus. But he said, it's not up to me to tell you who's going to be on the right hand or the left hand when the kingdom of heaven is fully established. Jesus was saying, these seats close to me are not cheap at all. In fact, they are extremely costly. And he already knew at that moment that a lot of his followers were going to have to pay the heaviest price possible. Just a couple of chapters before that, he instructed the disciples with these words. He said, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. See, I have led you down the garden path here this morning by talking about cheap seats and expensive seats. It's not about seats at all. It's not about seats at all. Jesus tells us the kingdom of God is not a spectator sport. It's one in which every one of us is supposed to participate. So in the kingdom of God, it's not where you sit. It's where you take a stand. It's what you decide to stand for. Regardless of where you sit this Sunday morning, you can't sit here, but you're probably sitting in a comfy chair at home and drinking your coffee, and maybe you're sneaking a look at the newspaper or your phone, and you're just halfway listening. Regardless of where you sit, if you just show up Sunday after Sunday and you soak up the message, or you soak up the music or the Bible verses or whatever, that's all you do, you're getting a much cheaper experience than Jesus intended. Get out of that cheap seat and get involved. See, the world is not changed by spectators. It's changed by the people who act, the ones who find that the seats, even the most expensive seats, are not where the action is. It's on the field. It's in the game. It's part of the kingdom. We've all heard this old saying, well, you get what you pay for. In the kingdom of God, though, you get what Jesus paid for. And what Jesus paid for is not a cheap seat. It's not a seat at all. It's a walk. It's a way. God bless you this week. We'll talk to you again soon.